PRATHAM Test Prep. I'm Ashish Bhargav, and welcome to another episode of Daily News Analysis that we do from Monday to Friday at sharp 11:30 a.m. So, in this newspaper analysis, we covered important news from all major newspaper covered in this session, especially for the Hindu and Indian Express. And in daily newspaper analysis, we discuss about international news. Once we are covering international news, make sure like we cover the news that is based on the PM visit also, economy based news, sports based news, science and tech, personal news, summits and conference, miscellaneous and national news. And apart from that we discuss about Supreme Court verdict, which is very important. So we all these things that we discuss in the today's session, and I hope that you guys are doing well. And आप सारे अच्छे होंगे, स्वस्थ होंगे, घर पे होंगे, सुरक्षित होंगे. मैं I pray for God for the same. And now, moving further, here is the quote of the day. So quote is that if your voice is high, only a few people will listen. But if your thought is high, then many people will listen. So to inculcate this thought process, what exactly you need to do? We have to develop to read the newspaper. And second one that we can say is just one small positive thought in the morning can change your whole day. And that's a great quote of Dalai Lama. Now, moving further, study hard, no matter if it seems impossible, no matter if it takes times, no matter if you have to up all night. Just remember that the feeling of success is the best thing in the entire world. So once you are like aspiring to become something, once you will crack it, so the we can say the happiness in your face that is no worth, no one can measure this, right? So here is, and we have taken initiative of questions of the day, and that questions of the day is very important because at the end of the YouTube session that we discuss about a few questions which is based on the current affairs and what we have discussed yesterday and day before yesterday. And what I would like to say, to gathering information and solving question, there are two different things. Sometimes you have gathered all the information but you are unable to solve the questions. The reason behind might be you are not revised the things properly, and second thing that you are trapped in such kind of dilemma whether A or C would be the answer, B or D would be the answer. Now here is Pratham Test Prep Mentors newspaper analysis that is Monday to Friday at 11:30 a.m. and every Tuesday the deep dive session. Legal Darpan, that is 3 p.m. Monday, Wednesday and Friday. Current Affairs Samvad as 8:30 p.m. Monday and Friday. Deep dive session at 3 p.m. by every Thursday. Maths Mudda once in a week, and we can say logical reasoning, Maths Mudda and logical reasoning, and the boost your vocabulary session that is taken by 3 mentors at 8:30 p.m. Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday. So now is the very first news is negative RT-PCR report must be travels from China, 3 other countries. So in this article, what exactly you need to understand, with COVID-19 cases rising in some countries, the government on Saturday said the passenger from China, Hong Kong, Japan, Thailand and South Korea will have to bring a negative RT-PCR test. So we have to know the few things about the RT-PCR, which is we can say reverse transcriptions polymers chain reaction. This is called RT-PCR. So RT-PCR, in short, that we can say that reverse transcriptions polymerase chain reaction test is also known as RT-PCR test. So basically it is a gold standard test for the diagnosing viral diseases like Ebola also, SARS-CoV-2 virus infection also. So not RT-PCR is not only confined to the COVID-19, right? And the RT-PCR is a sensitive test. So if you talk about the RT-PCR test, so we need to keep in mind the Carey Mullis, the American biochemist, invented the PCR techniques. He was awarded the Nobel Prize in Chemistry in 1993. And under the copies of segment of DNA, which is deoxyribonucleic acid, because cell, if you talk about having a 2 parts, if you talk about the cell nucleus having 2 parts, DNA and RNA. So DNA deoxyribonucleic acid are created using an enzyme called polymers. So that's why we say the reverse transcriptions polymers chain reaction. So the chain reaction signifies how the DNA fragments are copied exponentially. One is copied into 2 and 2 are 2 are copied into 4 and so on. So we can say that the fluorescent DNA binding dye called the probe is added to DNA, which shows the presence of the virus in a fluidometer. So however, coronavirus is made of RNA. So therefore, detective coronavirus RNA is converted into DNA using technique called reverse transcriptions. So that reverse transcription is used when DNA change into RNA, RNA change into DNA. Now, one more thing we have to understand, that random testing of 2% of passengers on every day, this is not more important, but we have to know the nitty-gritty of the subject of what exactly the passage is talking about. Now, moving further, how does the coronavirus test work? First, a swab is taken from the patient. The sample is sent to a lab. Third one, the sample is put into a test tube. And then fourth one, the virus genetic material RNA is turned into DNA through reverse transcription. Fifth one is the reagents know that probes and primers are added to tube and used to target certain parts of DNA. And sixth one, if the DNA targets is present, it will be multiplied many times, create flashes of light. And seventh one, the seventh step is the diagnostic machine record the level of light and compare it with the positive and negative samples. And eighth one is that if there is a lot of light, then that means the sample is positive for coronavirus. So how the test is working, you need to understand that, because this information is very important. Which the RNA change into the DNA, the process is known as transcriptions. Next one, per scene come with a divisive catch. So traditional fishermen point a finger at boat that use a large vehicle nets for the rapidly declining catch in last 10 years. So we have to understand what is the method of the per scene fishing, which is in Mangalore. So per scene fishing popular in India western coast. And why it is popular in western coast? Western coast, which means that we can say especially in the part of Gujarat, and we can see and Andhra, Telangana. So the per scene fishing popular in India western coast, using a large vertical net to surround dense shoal or pelagic or midwater fish in the open ocean, and then draws in the edges like tightening the cords of drawstring purse. So in some states it is linked to a concern about the decreasing stock of a small pelagic shoaling fish like an sardines markets and traveling on the western coast. So we have to understand first thing that what is why this one is the news. So that it was banned in the coastal states of per scene fishing not justified. The center tells Supreme Court, and why in the news, because the reason behind the central government has told the Supreme Court that is ban imposed by certain coastal states by per scene fishing not justified. So what is per scene fishing? Basically it is used in open ocean to target dense school of single species pelagic, which means midwater fish like tuna and mackerel. And market में उनकी price बहुत अच्छी मिल जाती है. That's why the fishermen wanted to this type of fishing method. And a vertical net certain to use to surround the school of fish, the bottom of which is then drawn together to enclose the fish. And what is the advantage is that the per scene fishing is open water, is generally considered to be an efficient form of fishing. It has no contact with the seabed. So which state have prohibited per scene fishing? This is very important. So several state and union territories like Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Puducherry, Odisha, Dadra and Nagar Haveli, and Daman and Diu, Andaman and Nicobar Island have prohibited per scene fishing in their respective territorial water up to 12 nautical miles. So why does the center want to ban on per scene fishing to be lifted? Because the union government has recommended the lifting of the ban on per scene fishing based on a report submitted by an expert committee. Now, as we can see that here is a purse wide, here is a lead line and purse ring is there. So this will not touch to the seabed, but it will harmful for the aquatic ecosystem. It is very harmful for aquatic ecosystem. That's why government want to ban this. Now, nutrient supplement alone will not make children smarter. So this is why I have highlighted all this part, which is very important. So growth faltering as an easily measurable outcome of a poor nutrition was shown in the many cross-sectional studies, and in India that we can say around 43% of the person are suffering from malnutrition, and as well as we can say child stunting and child wasting. So the question was, did poor nutrition result in poor cognitive development and lower adult IQ? So some scholars name by linking stunting as an indicator of poor nutrition. Stunting, which means that according to their height, the body is not growing, body is not growth properly. And the second interpretation was that if an early nutrition induced cognitive decline occurred, it would track like an scale into adulthood, leaving its negative stigma on its individual capital and indeed collectively by the GDP of a nation. So इसको ऐसे लिंक करने की कोशिश करो कि अगर किसी इंसान की हेल्थ अच्छी नहीं है, so it means that the we can say the cognitive mind will not work properly, उसका IQ level कम होगी तो उसके जो contributions होंगे country में बहुत ज़्यादा कम होंगे. So in a biological framework, micronutrients such as iron, iodine, vitamin B12 are essential for the normal brain development and functioning. And if the bodies are lacking of these nutrients, then how it will function? The supplements help in these cases, resulting in enthusiastic push for macro and micronutrient supplements in early childhood, eventually trying solely into stunting prevention. But this is unbalanced approach, as an Lancet Global Health paper shows. The Lancet report is very important. And one more thing that we need to keep in mind, that nutritional deprivation will impact brain development, and nutrition undernourished children should be given nutritional attention. But in current life setting, observed nutrient deficit in public health are the a milder variety which can easily be met by the simply dietary education. So much more needs to be done, just like food and exercise build muscles. Food with creative nutrient schooling is an exercise for the mind and related for the development of human capital. Now moving further, we go to the next article is Consumer Affairs Minister's Goel unveils a right to repair portal. So Food and Consumer Affairs Minister name is Piyush Goel. So first thing that you need to remember the cabinet minister name. So they will ask you directly in your exam, who is our Food and Consumer Affairs Minister. The name is Piyush Goel. So Piyush Goel introduced a host of new initiatives, including a right to repair portal and an NTH mobile app, and opened new premises of the National Summer Helpline Center in the national capital. So on the right to repair portal, so manufacturers would share the manual of product details with customers so that they could either repair by itself or third parties, or rather than depend on original manufacturers. So like if you talk about initially mobile phones, electronics, consumers, durables, automobiles, and farming equipments would be covered. So earlier it was अगर वो चीज़ें खराब होगी तो उसको आप फेंक देते थे. So now it is right to repair is our portal. So we have to understand that right to repair movement. So in recent years, countries around the world have been attempting to pass right to repair laws. So the goal of this movement to set companies to make spare parts, tools, and information on how to repair device available to customers, and repair shops to increase the lifespan of product and to keep them from ending up in landfills. So right to repair electronic refers to the government legislation that is intended to allow consumers the ability to repair and modify their own consumer electronics device, where otherwise the manufacturer of such device require the consumer to use only their offered services. So basically the idea is originally originated from USA, where the Motor Vehicle Owners Right to Repair Act 2012 requires the manufacturers to provide necessary document and information to allow anyone to repair these vehicles. So if you talk about an e-waste data in India, so official data is Central Pollution Control Board, CPCB. India generated more than 10 lakh tons of e-waste in 2019-20 and increased from 7 lakh tons in 2017 to 2021. What is the initiative taken by the Indian government? So e-waste management rule 2016. The rules aims to enable the recovery and reuse of useful material from e-waste. thereby reducing the hazardous waste destined for disposal and to ensure the environmentally sound management of all types of waste of electrical and electronic equipment. And there is second initiative taken by the government of India is e-waste clinic, which aims to segregating, processing and disposal of the waste. Third one is poppy clocks denuded Manipur hills. Biden declares war on tribal chiefs. What the news is talking about. The very first thing you need to keep in mind, which here is an article based on state initiative. So state initiative, state based news. So first thing you have to keep in mind, like, who is the chief minister of Manipur. So N Biren Singh is the chief minister of Manipur. Where is the capital of Manipur? Is in Imphal. So N Biren Singh issued a last warning to tribal village in Manipur, urging to stop poppy cultivation in vast mountain slopes immediately for face life imprisonment. So basically, the chief minister has good reason to be angry and distraught, since he feels that the tribal leaders have backed out of their communities about commitments and assurance to root out the poppy crop. And he distributed substantial cash to several chieftains to help them switch over the other crops after destroying the verdant poppy plants. So sounding his last warning, the chief minister said that his government would now declare war against the tribal chieftains. They had no questions to compromise with those drug lords who are out to earn fortune to cost of their lives of ordinary people. Next news is 225-kilometer yatra to save the endangered sacred grove of Rajasthan. So Orans. So what is Orans is? Orans, also from the natural habitat for India, most critically endangered bird, the great Indian bustard. Many birds have died during the last few years because of collision with power lines, making the most significant threat to the majestic birds. So they highlighted the significance of Orans, which are grove of the trees with a rich diversity of traditional flora and fauna and water bodies, considered sacred and preserved by the locals. So what the government have taken initiative? So they allotted of their land of solar and wind energy, mining and other industrial was affecting the ecology of the region, and no tree or plant in the groves is cut, and only seasonal grazing of livestock is allowed. So however, solar power companies have sorted to arbitrary action and fell trees to install their big project. Scientists freeze Great Barrier Reef coral in the world first trial. So scientists are scrambling to protect coral reefs. Which will be coral reefs' importance, that we can say it will balance the water ecosystem. So that's why government want to protect this. And coral reefs are rising ocean temperature, and destabilized delicate ecosystem. The Great Barrier Reef has suffered 4 bleaching events. Bleaching, which means that they are going to be die soon, because उसके ऊपर जो salt की amount होती है वो बहुत ज़्यादा हो जाती है. So bleaching events in the last 7 years, including the first ever bleach during a La Nina phenomenon, which typically brings cooler temperatures, which is La Nina and El Nino. That is quite not similar. La Nina is just opposite to a El Nino. So we can say cryogenically frozen coral can be stored and later reintroduced to the wild, but the current process requires sophisticated equipments, including laser. Scientists say a new lightweight cryo mesh can be manufactured cheaply and better preserve coral. So अगर हम इसमें biodiversity, if you can secure the biodiversity of coral, then we will have tools for the future to really help restore the reef, and this technology for coral reef in the future is a real game changer. As we can see, here is a Great Barrier Reef is there. 81 crore people to get free food grains for 1 year. So the Union Cabinet on Friday decided to provide free food grains to 81 crore of National Food Security Act (NFSA). NFSA that was somehow linked to the Public Distribution System (PDS). And how the PDS work we will got to know. And there are many initiatives taken by the government of India. As you know, Union Food Minister Piyush Goyal said the move was yet another reflection of Prime Minister Narendra Modi pro-poor stand, and he said that 28-month like we can Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana. So the one initiative taken by the government for the National Food Security Act is PMGKAY, which means Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana, right? Which is ensured for kg of food grains for free for the poor. This is another remarkable decision for the government. Now, if we talk about PDS system, the first how the PDS system is work. PDS, which means Public Distribution System. Public Distribution System. And the first government procures from the farmers at MSP, which means minimum support price. Minimum support price. Minimum support price is something that we can say before sowing season that at present there are 22 crops, there is the apply of MSP, minimum support price. So in farm law there was an issue, and we can say that was a main bone of contention, that was minimum support price. And if we talk about then farmers, then we go to the center of FCI, which is Food Corporation of India. Food Corporation of India. Then it goes to the state government, then fair price shops, and then go directly to the beneficiary. And allocation of central price issues and distribution and sale of grains of central issue price. So it is varied to the different state to state. Next one, Bharat Biotech nasal COVID vaccine available at booster. So with the threat of COVID-19 resurfacing and India ramping up health surveillance measures, Health Minister Masuk, and who is the Health Minister is Mansukh Mandavia. So Mansukh Mandavia is our Health Minister, and who said that like we are Bharat Biotech Intranasal, which means nose से उसको enter करेंगे, which is COVID-19 vaccine branded as, its name is that INCOVACC, Incovac. So Incovac is now available for the public use. It is the world's first intranasal vaccine approved for the use. The nasal vaccine BBV15 had received approval in November to restrict uses. So it is a recombinant, replication deficient adenovirus vectors vaccine with pre-fusion stabilized spike protein. This candidate was evaluated in phase 4, 2nd and 3rd clinical trials with successful result. So Incovac co-developed by the Hyderabad-based Bharat Biotech and the US-based Washington University was approved in November for restricted emergency use for those aged 18 or older. So the nasal vaccine is approved by the primary dose for the heterologous booster. It was approved as a 3 primary dose after phase 3 third trials. So always keep in mind that Incovac was developed by Hyderabad-based Bharat Biotech. And it is a, we can say, world first intranasal vaccine approved for the use. Now moving further is cabinet approved spending OROP revision for veterans. So OROP, which means one rank, one pension. So one rank, one pension, which means that we can say one rank, one pension means the payment of the same pension of military officers for the same rank of the same length of service, irrespective of the date of retirement. So before ORP, ex-servicemen used to get pension as per the pay commission recommendation to the time when they had retired. So the UP and Punjab have the highest number of ORP beneficiaries. So armed force personnel who are retired till 30th June 2014 are covered under it. So the implementation of the scheme was based on recommendation of the Koshyari committee. So that committee name need to be remembered, because the one rank, one pension, that was recommendation by the Koshiari Committee, a 10-member of all-party parliamentary panel performed under the chairmanship of Bhagat Singh Koshiari. So one rank, one pension, implies uniform pension to the personnel based on rank, length of service, and irrespective of the date of retirement. UP and Tamil Nadu struggle with encroachment of centrally protected monument sites. So a total of 356 heritage structures have encroached across the country, and tourism and culture ministers, and who is the tourism and culture minister is Kishan Reddy. Kishan Reddy is tourism and culture minister. There is 1 to 2 question that is based on cabinet minister, so need to be remember. Tourism and culture minister is, we can say, is Kishan Reddy. So India has total 3,695 centrally protected monument sites. So in the country under the protection of Archaeological Survey of India. So what is Archaeological Survey of India? So Archaeological Survey of India, established in 1861, is a department of Government of India attached to the Ministry of Culture. So ASI is responsible for archaeological studies and preservation and archaeological heritage of the country in accordance with the various acts of Indian Parliament. And we can say that like necessary conservation and preservation works are taken as per the requirement, and ASI regulates construction around the protected monuments to the ancient monuments and archaeological sites. And remains Amendment Act 2010. The act prohibits construction within 100 meters of a protected monuments. So next, 300 meters radius is regulated too. So once you have visited the any sites, you can see then the ASI is working over. Like ताज महल के अंदर भी आपको ASI मिल जाएंगी, वहाँ पे उनकी ड्यूटी होती है आर्कियोलॉजिकल सर्वे ऑफ इंडिया की. So it was established in 1861. Year need to be remembered. Now it's time to questions of the day. So question of the day is very important because once you will got to know that what kind of question they are possible to ask, it will be very good things for you, because until unless you will not solve the question, how you got to know that whether the in your real exam how you will face the question. So here is the very first question. Ban the consumptions of intoxicating drinks and substances that are injurious to health is a provision made in the first is option is preamble of the Constitution, directive principle of state policy, fundamental rights and fundamental duties. So, ban of consumption of intoxicating drinks and substances that are injurious to health is a provision made in the directive principle of state policy. So, Article 47, the state shall make every effort to ban the consumption of intoxicating drinks and substances that are injurious to health. Though not legally enforceable, DPSP set goals for the state so that citizens can lead a good life. So, state के पास authority है कि वो उसको ban कर सकता है, शराब को बैन करने की, वो आर्टिकल 47 में है, बट मेक श्योर ये लीगली इन्फोर्सेबल नहीं है, मतलब स्टेट बाउंड नहीं है, इस चीज़ को करने के लिए बाइंड नहीं है उनके पास, ये आपको ये काम करने ही होंगे. मूविंग फर्दर, सेकेंड क्वेश्चन. द अर्बन 20 U20 इज अ सिटी डिप्लोमेसी इनिशिएटिव लॉन्च एट COP, which is Conference of Party, COP which means Conference of Parties, Conference of Party of UNFCCC Katowice, One Planet Summit Paris, G20 Summit Rome, and COP 15 at UNCBD Kunming. So Urban 20 is a city diplomacy initiative launched at where? COP 24, One Planet Summit, G20 Summit, and COP 15. So this one is a B option. Urban 20 is a city diplomacy initiative launched in December 12, 2017 as One Planet Summit in Paris. It aims to facilitate lasting engagement between G20 and cities, raise the profile of urban issues of G20 agenda, and India is going to host G20 also, Udaipur and Rajasthan, and establish a forum of cities to develop a collective message and perspective to inform G20 negotiation. Consider the following statement regarding the panel of Vice President Chairperson of Rajya Sabha. The Chairman of Rajya Sabha nominates the panel of Vice Chairpersons from among the members. In the absence of Chairman or Deputy Chairman of Rajya Sabha, any of the panel members can preside over the House. So according to Rajya Sabha rules, nominated members of the Rajya Sabha are not eligible to become the member of the panel. So obvious the statement A is right, would be right answer. Why? Because third statement we can it is eligible. It has mentioned not eligible. So that's why. So it is eligible to become a member of the panel again. So the statement third is incorrect. The Chairman of Rajya Sabha nominates the panel of Vice Chairperson from among the members, and according to Rajya Sabha rules, in the absence of Chairman, the Deputy Chairman, any of them can preside over the House. When presiding, he has the same powers as the Chairman. And nominated Rajya Sabha members and athlete PT Usha is now the panel of Vice Chairperson of the House. Mrs. Usha is the first nominated member in the history of Rajya Sabha to be included in the panel. Fourth one, second last question is first is tentative list of UNESCO World Heritage Site is an inventory of those properties which each state party intended to consider for nomination. Statement second is that India now has more than 50 sites on UNESCO tentative list, which indicates rich cultural and natural wealth of India. Third, the Sun Temple at Modhera has architectural and decorative details presenting the Solanki style. So the right answer would be here only D option. So Gujarat, Vadnagar town, the iconic Sun Temple at Modhera. We have discussed this article in the Friday session of Daily Newspaper Analysis. We have already discussed this. So the iconic Sun Temple at Modhera and the rock cut sculpture of Unokti in Tripura have been added to tentative list of UNESCO World Heritage Site. And the UNESCO tentative list of inventory of those properties which each state party intends to consider for nomination. So now India has 52 sites of UNESCO tentative list, and the list indicates rich cultural and natural wealth of India and show huge diversity of our heritage. And the Sun Temple Modhera, dedicated to Surya Dev, is the earliest of such temples which set trends to architectural and decorative details representing the Solanki style of its best. And the Sun Temple located at the left bank of river Pushpavati, a tributary of river Rupan in Bechraji Taluka of Mehsana district. The last question, Gandhiji represented the Indian National Congress in which of these roundtable conference? Option A. All these roundtable conference was done in the London itself. First roundtable conference 30-31, second roundtable 31, third roundtable conference 32. So B.R. Ambedkar was the person who attended all three roundtable conference. So obviously the right answer should be B option. The three roundtable conference 30-32 was a series of conference organized by the British government and Indian National Congress was participant to discuss constitutional reforms in India. And these started in November 1930 and ended in December 1932. So they were conducted as per the recommendation of Jinnah to Viceroy Lord Irwin and Prime Minister Ramsay MacDonald, and by the report submitted by the Simon Commission in May 1930, demand for Swaraj or self-rule in India and had been growing increasingly strong. So the Congress had boycotted the first conference. Second, a settlement between Mahatma Gandhi and Viceroy Lord Irwin known as Gandhi-Irwin Pact. It is also known as Second Roundtable Conference, also known as Gandhi-Irwin Pact, was reached. The Gandhi was appointed as the role representatives of the Congress to the Second Roundtable Conference. So although MacDonald was still Prime Minister of Britain, he was by this time heading a coalition government, national government with a conservative majority. It was held in London in September 1931. So dear students, this is all about the session. I hope you enjoyed the session a lot. And if you have any questions, please let me know in the comment section. And if you are new in this channel, do not forget to press the bell icon so you will get the notification of all the YouTube session here. So stay tuned. Best of luck. Stay tuned and we'll meet you tomorrow. अपना ख्याल रखें, सुरक्षित रहें. And we'll meet you tomorrow at the same time at 11:30 a.m. Bye bye and take care once again.